Another aspect of the crisis is that there are these foreclosure mill attorneys, and these are specialty law firms that specialize solely, really, in foreclosures. They routinely file foreclosures and dispossessory notices into the wrong courts of jurisdiction. They do this because they think it's going to be an easy victory over a pro se litigant who has no attorney representation and cannot afford attorney representations. And therefore, they hope to gain a quick victory, to dispose the homeowner of their property, kick them out, regain the property, and sell it again on the open market for even more profit on the back end. So that is a brief overview of the mortgage crisis. Now, who are the perpetuators of feeding this crisis? Public enemy number one is mortgage electronic registration systems, MERS. Again, the very nature and the design of MERS is to evade the legal formalities and costs of filing proper assignments of mortgages and giving the required notice to homeowners. The corporation accepts fees from its members, which are mortgage companies and loan servicers, to intentionally evade legal requirements that would otherwise protect homeowners from false and fraudulent conveyances of mortgages. Public enemy number two are loan servicers with shady debt collection and billing practices. And there are some major violators out there, some of which have decided to halt foreclosure proceedings in at least 23 states until they can get their story straight, so they can, continue to effectuate these foreclosures. Public enemy number three are these persuasive foreclosure mills, attorneys, law firms. These foreclosure mills knowingly represent the mortgage companies and loan servicers who participate in making false and fraudulent assignments. They participate in filing these dispossessory eviction proceedings against regular homeowners, knowing that their clients do not have the proper authority to bring such foreclosure proceedings. Public enemy number four, many creditors have induced magistrate, state, and sometimes higher court judges into ruling against homeowners without presenting proper paperwork, without proving that they are the right party in interest to bring foreclosure proceedings. And again, the judges themselves are perpetuating this crisis by failing to protect adequately the interests of pro se litigants who cannot afford legal counsel. So who loses in this foreclosure madness? Obviously, every homeowner who has been the victim of predatory lendings, unlawful foreclosure, and dispossessory actions. I'm sure at this point we all know somebody who has been affected by this crisis. So really, and let me just give you one other statistic, 14,000 citizens of the state of Georgia are in foreclosure this month alone. 14,000, just this month, okay? So it affects the vast majority of citizens in the state of Georgia. And more often than not, the affected groups are the elderly, the disabled veterans, and minority groups, especially the African American and Hispanic communities. Not so obvious are the counties, the school districts, the neighborhoods, and the churches. Why? Because the banks that foreclose on these properties don't pay the property taxes on the foreclosed homes. The homes are left abandoned. The abandoned homes are wide open to potential criminals for vandalism, theft, and all kinds of other crimes. And the neighboring homes lose their property value as well. Furthermore, the schools in the affected districts are suffering from declining tax dollars because much of its constituency has been evicted pursuant to these unlawful foreclosures. So who is supposed to protect the homeowner and the public? That's the question I think we all want to know. Who's asleep at the wheel? The Attorney General and the district attorneys of the various counties. It is the also the governor and the governor's office of consumer affairs. It is the Attorney General's job to conduct any investigation regarding questionable activity concerning any state agency, department, person, or business that has engaged in harmful or illegal or unfair business with the state of Georgia or its citizens. Now, recently, the Attorney General announced that he would be joining in the joint investigation into the mortgage fraud, foreclosure fraud crisis. And we appreciate that, and we look very carefully. We will be looking to see what the results of that investigation turn up. However, he's not the only party that is responsible for protecting the homeowners and the citizens of the state of Georgia. The United States Department of Justice also has a huge responsibility. It is the Department of Justice's job to protect the citizens of the United States of America from fraud, unfair lending, and deceptive business practices. And that would include, of course, the citizens of the state of Georgia. The courts and judges are supposed to protect the homeowners as well. It is the job of the court systems and the judges to conduct fair and impartial hearings with a full understanding of the laws that the mortgage companies are required to comply with. They must honor and mandate discovery and evidence gathering. They must stop the unfair treatment of pro se litigants, and they must stop issuing rulings that are not in compliance with the applicable laws that would protect the homeowners. Okay, so we have a petition that we have developed. The Oaks firm, Mr. Kareem Bey with UGR, ISIS, the NAACP, the SCLC, Operation Restoration. We have developed a petition that is circulated around the room. We will also be circulating this around the Metro Atlanta counties and really the state of Georgia to gain community support. There is strength in numbers, and we need as many people as we can to sign this petition that we will be presenting to politicians, public officials, and putting political pressure on the parties that are supposed to be protecting the citizens. So what we demand is a couple things. First of all, we demand that non-judicial foreclosure be abolished in the state of Georgia, okay? Non-judicial foreclosures have proven to be far too abusive, predatory, and unfair to property owners for far too long. Non-judicial foreclosures have been permitted because the mortgage companies, when you sit down at your mortgage closing, require you to sign something called the Borrower's Waiver of Rights, as well as a power of sale provision in the security deeds. These contract provisions allow them to foreclose on you summarily without really due process of law. These contract provisions are unconscionable, in violation of public policy, and violate so many constitutional provisions of the United States Constitution and the state of Georgia's Constitution, it's not even funny. Okay? We demand a more active role from the Attorney General, the district attorneys, the U.S. Department of Justice, the governor, the Governor's Office of Consumer Affairs, and the politicians and public officials that are duty-bound to protect the citizens. We demand that the officials who are supposed to be protecting the homeowners of the state of Georgia take their heads out of the sand, investigate the white-collar crime, prosecute the criminals, and protect the people whom they are appointed to serve. All right. We demand an immediate foreclosure moratorium to stay all pending foreclosure sales and dispossessory actions in the state of Georgia involving some of the major lenders, including JP Morgan & Chase, Bank of America, GMAC, AHMSI, EMC, Aurora, Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, and do I need to name the hundreds of others that are affecting these unlawful foreclosures in the state of Georgia? We demand an immediate moratorium for a minimum of 90 days or until a public investigation report is issued with final recommendations for the General Assembly to enact effective legislation and enforce legislation that would protect homeowners in the future. And while we appreciate the Attorney General's efforts to join in this this nationwide investigation into mortgage companies' foreclosure practices, we demand that the Attorney General conduct an ongoing investigation into the mortgage fraud and foreclosure practices of some of these major lenders, so that this will not be a short-lived victory, so that this will not be a short-term change, to make sure that he's in it for the long haul.